So last week I made the major mistake of pre-recording Monday's video, and then Monday ended up being an absolute crazy day in the stock market. So this week I thought, okay, we're going to leave it a little bit later on and see what happens in the stock market. So I've left it to, as recording this video, 9 o'clock at night to kind of see what happens with the stock market on Monday. And yes, it was a good job I did leave it, because wow, what a day in the stock market. We had a pretty brutal day on Friday, and the bleeding has continued into Monday as the day kind of went on. The stock market sunk a little bit lower, and as you can see here, mostly a sea of red out there, apart from when you look at the health sector. The health sector actually looks okay at the moment, but outside of that, especially when you look at what has been the popular stocks, the surging stocks in the last 12 months, a little bit of blood out there when you look at them stocks right now. And as you can see here, we are currently seeing all the red headlines coming out on a lot of the media sites. We are heading towards the worst day in 2025 so far, and I believe it's the worst week for the Nasdaq. Last week was since 2023. So yeah, a little bit of negativity building in the market right there, and you can see as soon as that little negativity creeps in, I think I always try warn you guys of this, but I say you'll be surprised how quick fear can take over stocks. Like all of a sudden, everything's looking okay in the stock market, but all it needs is that little bit of fear in the market, and you take those stairs as a bull, but the bears take the elevator. When they just get a little bit of fear, you'll be surprised how boom, you can see that drop quite quickly in the stock market. Now, obviously at the moment it hasn't been a significant drop. We're not talking a stock market crash at the moment, but we have only had a little bit of a drop in the stock market, a couple of percent in the S&P 500, and then you're already seeing some of the names building, pulling back quite a bit at the moment right now. And you look at the kind of fear and greed index, all of a sudden, that quick spike, and we go into extreme fear. You look at the VIX, and all of a sudden the volatility index, it's spiking up 25%, and that couple of percent on the index, look how quick some of these big stocks kind of drop down. You got Nvidia, down 18% in the last couple of days, and that's with only the index going down a couple. I mean, Tesla, this has had a big pullback, down 27% at the moment. Palantir, everybody was piling into Palantir stock at $124. People queuing up to buy, people buying at $124, and very quickly, 33% down in that time frame. Even one that I own, Hims and Hers, what a pullback that one's had, down 34, actually more than that, 40% since that time frame. It just shows you how quick these stocks can turn around so fast. And yeah, when you can zoom out and say, well, actually still for the month, Hims and Hers is still up for the last month. In the last 6 months, it's up 180%. Yeah, a lot of these stocks are still, if you've been in these for long term, you're probably still up on the stocks, which is absolutely amazing, and that's the benefit of being a long-term investor. But certainly, what is a wake-up call is, how quick some of these stocks can really significantly drop. Now, obviously, the stock market, where we kind of head in, is there a stock market crash? I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be a stock market crash. Nobody can tell you if there's going to be a stock market crash. But what I will tell you today is I'm going to give you a game plan if we are heading into a stock market crash 2025. So today I'm going to give you a game plan, my game plan, to kind of follow. And as well as that, do I think there could be a crash? Well, no one can predict a stock market crash. But what I will say is the stock market, in my opinion, and I have been suggesting it to you guys for like the last couple of months now, is that I do feel like the stock market is stretched. I do believe the valuations got a little bit ridiculous. I think that there's a little bit of FOMO going on there. I think valuations are slightly getting lost a little bit in the last kind of couple of weeks or months. And I do believe the stock market is due a pullback, whether that be a 5% pullback, 10% pullback, I don't know. The stock market may be stagnating for the next 6 months and doing nothing. People don't like me to say that, but I do think that's where we're heading. I do believe that a lot of the gains that we've had in the stock market recently have not just come from earnings multiple, increasing on earnings. There's a big expansion of earnings multiple, and there's only so far you can keep going on that kind of earnings multiple extension. At some point, you've got to have that pullback. And like I said, we've been sitting at 29 times earnings on the S&P 500 for a little bit. There's only been 3 times that have been higher, and that's 2020, the 08 situation that we had, and the tech bubble. So, when you start stretching to those valuations, I do think we have to have a pullback, or we have a stagnation in the market just to let the financials catch up to these sort of valuations. and I think it has been on the cards for a little bit. So this does not surprise me, and I think I've been hinting it to you guys for a little bit that might happen. But we never know, we might have this dip here and then the stock market might rip higher. We can't predict the market, and there's been more money lost preparing for crashes than made preparing for crashes. So you definitely don't want to be like, this is why I never go completely out of the market, because we still might go higher. If I started pulling out the market when I thought it was going to go lower, I probably would have missed out on some gains. But I've certainly been positioning myself into a place where I would do quite well if we do go into a lower stock market situation. So first of all, my kind of game plan around if we are heading into this 2025 stock market crash, where am I kind of going? So first of all, the main thing I would say is surround yourself with good investors, good people with longer term mindsets, because when we do hit a stock market crash, everyone says they're a long-term investor until they get in a stock market crash, and then fear takes hold. Fear takes hold of, I'm going to buy the dip, and the dip keeps dipping, and then it's like, okay, I don't know if I want to continue buying, or you know what, I'm going to actually stop buying for a little bit, or you know what, I'm going to sell the stocks because all it does is keep going lower, and then I'm going to buy back in at the right price when it's the bottom of the dip. And you just don't know when the bottom of the dip is, because the dip keeps on dipping. Hims and Hers is a prime example. A stock that I started buying during the last stock market crash, I was down on the position 30-40%. I continued buying, and now I've got the rewards. The only reason why I was able to get the rewards is because I actually stared at the financials and I went, in the long term, they keep financially smashing it, they will get the rewards in the share price. But I also surround myself with good investors, and not to kind of plug my private group here, but I have to say my private group was a great source of that confidence. I was looking at them guys, and they were all, I was buying Hims and Hers and they were buying Hims and Hers, and we're all kind of saying, look, it don't make sense, this is going on. And when you have those days where you have that kind of like, am I missing something here? Then somebody else would be like, nope, everything's going well. Look at how well this company's doing. And you surround yourself with a good company, a good community. If you surround yourself with a bad community, that community where fear builds, they don't give you the best, confidence builder, you'll suffer and not take advantage in this sort of situation. So the last stock market crash we had, there was a lot of these big financial content creators on the scene, and unfortunately a lot of them are the biggest guys on here. Likes of Meet Kevin, the likes of the Russian Sasha. These guys here, these guys are the big YouTubers, and then all of a sudden when they say, oh, buy the dip, and then we had the last stock market crash, you had this guy flip-flopping out of stocks every single week. Look at so Sasha, for example, he ended up just not talking about stocks at all for the next 2 years because he got that crushed in the stock market and fear took hold. So quite often, even some of these big YouTubers, you don't want to surround yourself with them sort of people. You want to actually try to find a community of like long-term investors that will support you through these sort of situations. So that's what I would say. And especially like X, Twitter, a lot of messaging boards. There'll be so many people that talk a lot of rubbish, because on the boards there'll be fear building. There'll be people on those boards that probably end up panic selling, and then the stock goes lower, and they try to feed the negativity on other people, and then what will happen is the stock will actually start going up again, and they'll go, oh, it's only a short term. So you got to get yourself a good community, during these time periods. It's even more important than in a bull market. So just be careful of that. Next thing is cash. Hopefully, I would say that you have had a bit of a cash pile. This is a time period, hopefully in the last 2 years, where you've made money, you've had success, you've taken a little bit of profit off the table, you've gone, okay, things are looking a little bit stretched, I just need to be a little bit, if we are going to have a situation where the stock market pulls back, I can take advantage of it. Hopefully you've been making a little bit of money in the last 2 years. I certainly have, and I hope you guys have. And I think if you watched my video that I did on Saturday, which was the 6 stocks I'm buying March 2025, if you look at the start of the video, I went through all the stocks I've been selling, and there's been so much profit taken off the table. I think in that video alone we had like 6 trims on Hims and Hers, we had like 3 trims on DraftKings. I sold the remaining bits of my whole PayPal position. I think I took my first ever trim on Meta, which I haven't done for a long time. Those sort of trims, and as well as that, completely selling out PayPal, which was like my 3rd, 4th largest position. I'm a little bit too heavy on cash right now, I'll be honest with you guys. So hopefully you've kind of got that cash pile, because if you've got that cash pile, you're sitting right now and you're going, you know what, if the stock market drops 10%, I don't care. I've got the cash to take advantage of it. And if the stock market goes higher, hopefully you've still got those investments where you go, yeah, all right, I don't get to spend my cash right now, but you know what? All those stocks I've still got in the stock market are still going to continue higher and we're going to make money. You're a winner, every way here. The only people that are panicking now are the people that have either got no cash pile and they're going, oh no, the stocks are dipping and I've not took any profit off the table, which, then you are panicking because you've got nothing to go buy the dip with. And then the other people that are going to be panicking is all the people that have cash, because they're right now being like, please go lower because I need to get back in the stock market. And if they go higher, they're going to, obviously, especially in the last few months, they missed out on probably the best gains, especially February. February was an absolutely ridiculous month. So, hopefully, you're in a really good position. If you're not, obviously that's something to kind of learn from, going forward. The other thing as well with the cash side of it is like, don't be too aggressive. If it's a little bit of a dip and you just buy a couple of shares and the stock market then bounces back and then you go, well, I bought something on the dip and now I'm making more money. But at the same time, you don't want to go all on the first dip and the dip keeps dipping and then you've spent all the cash on the first bit of the dip and it goes lower. I think a few people did that in the last crash, and I would say I was a little bit guilty on this, on the last crash. I mean, I was working every kind of hour I could to get more money to deploy in the stock market and cutting things back like crazy. I remember going and saying to my missus, I was like, we're not going on holiday this year, so I need to put more money in the stock market. But I remember, during this time frame here, you kind of go aggressive. You see the S&P going down 7%, 8%, goes down 10%, 15%. And at that point, you've already been through the stock market and it's been down 5-6 months and you're going, yeah, this dip can't go any lower. And then it goes lower and lower and lower, and then you end up in October time. You've been in this stock market dip for the last kind of 10 months, and you're thinking, bloody hell, I spent all my cash 6 months ago because I didn't think it were going to continue dipping. And, it's, in the big dips, you don't only just dip for like a month. You can go through a period of a bear market for, 12, a whole year. I mean, in the last dip, what were we realistically at? To get back to where we were at from the dip in 2021, you were nearly 2 years. 2 years of opportunities to buy the dip there. So, just be prepared for those opportunities, because, you want to be in a position that if the dip happens and you buy something and it goes up, you're going to make money from it. But you also want to be in that position where if the dip keeps dipping, you haven't spent all your cash pile in the first month and the dip carries on for the next 6 months. So that's especially something that I'm going to be cautious on, is that I think it was on Thursday or Friday, I went in and bought the dip, but so far today I haven't bought anything today because I already bought the other day. Now I probably will buy something tomorrow because it's just gone down so much today. It would be probably stupid of me not to buy. But normally, the mistake that I probably have made in 2022 is that I probably have bought 6 stocks in like this time period. But yet tomorrow I'm probably only going to buy 1 or 2 stocks. And I'm just going to be cautiously, dipping into it. But I'm still actively buying up the dip. And what that will, like I said, will enable me to do is that if the dip keeps dipping, I'm not going to go through the kind of cash pile that I have built up at the moment. Because the cash pile I've got up is, it's actually quite a big cash pile at the moment. And the next thing is identify your stocks. Because I tell you something, guys, when you go through this situation here, there's so many stocks that go down. It's like a kid in a candy store. You're like, oh, that's down. And it's hard. It's hard to like, what am I buying? And the only thing you can do, right, is get a list. These are the 5 companies I really like and focus on them. Like, find the ones that you think, great valuation, great balance sheet. The financials are still doing very well at the moment. So I want to go buy that stock. Identify the stocks that you really like and you own. And those are like the 5 that you really like at the moment. So for example, like in the last stock market crash, Hims and Hers was one I was aggressively buying. Got the returns on it. DraftKings, got the returns on it. Mercado Libre, got the returns on it. Google, got the returns on it. SoFi, got the returns on it. You could kind of see PayPal, got the returns on that. So, I identified a couple of opportunities. I bought them heavy, got the rewards. And it's the same again. So, like AMD, I think this is like 19 forward times earnings. The financials in the last earnings for me were 10 out of 10 earnings. Happy to keep buying the dip on that one. Enphase, I thought the last earnings were really good. Financially turning around. If you look at the financials, 26% revenue growth, net income 197%. Financials turning around, share price keeps going lower. you know, that for me is like one that I, you know, keep adding into at the moment. I'd say that's a little bit more risky though than probably all the ones that I'm about to mention. Google, you know, these are sometimes these are the best opportunities to get those like Mag 7, the big stocks. They actually finally have a dip. Google, you know, 21 times earnings. I think it's like 19, 18 forward times earnings. That's ridiculous. Like, Google's probably the best company in the world, and you're picking up at below the market valuation. And look at the last financials. You know, 11% revenue growth, net income up 28%. This is fantastic, guys. And, you know, 19 forward times earnings. This is where I get the opportunity. You know, I always regret not building Google. The last stock market crash, I regret not building up Google and Meta up a bit more than what I did. So, you know, something like this would be my chance to get Google up to, you know, the largest position in the stock market portfolio. You know, this is the opportunity for me to do that. So, you know, that's one that I'm certainly looking at. New holdings, I thought their last earnings were good, and, you know, the stock keeps dipping at the moment. 19, 18 forward times earnings, no, be even lower than that for that one. Hims and Hers, I actually think Hims and Hers is back down at, you know, more attractive valuations right now, and yet the valuations, you know, attractive. And then as well as, you know, on an Evolution as well, which to be fair is actually having a pretty good day. In the last 5 days, it's actually holding up quite well at the moment. So I'm not actually actively been buying this one too much at the moment, but, you know, those sort of opportunities. So, you know, pick yourself like 5 or 6 stocks as like, those are the ones that I really like at the moment. And then as well as that, just pick some stocks that, you know, like 5 stocks in your watch list. So like, you know, there's be so many stocks that go down that you kind of, you know, like you're deer in headlights. You're like, I like this one, I like this one. And you might end up spreading yourself a little bit too thin. You know, just pick your 5 stocks that you don't own, but you'd really like to own at the right value. So something like an Amazon, I would really like Amazon in my stock market portfolio. Right now, you know, it's having a 15% dip. You know, when do I buy it? I don't know. I'll have to run the numbers on it, but, you know, that's certainly one that I would have to get a price for, and then, you know, when it gets to the right value, maybe that's one I'd into the portfolio. Dutch Bros, I really like what's going on with Dutch Bros at the moment, and not really having a pullback at the moment, funny enough. But, you know, this is something that I'd probably like it. I mean, it's going to sound stupid, but something that I would like at like $30, you know, obviously way off it at the moment, so, you know, set a price alert. But, you know, in the stock market, you know, stupid prices can happen. Look at Hims and Hers in 2022. It can happen, guys. Toast looks a lot more interesting at the moment. The last financials look pretty good, really scaling up that revenue and that net income at the moment. You know, find a valuation, I like that. Same again, it's not having a big pullback at the moment, but, you know, you start getting this back in the $17, $18, $20 range, you know, maybe you consider buying that one at the moment. Palo Alto Networks, would love to have another cybersecurity play in my portfolio. So again, it's not really having a dip in, but, you know, work out the valuation I like, you know, maybe, I know, same again, it sounds crazy, $100 potentially. You know, that could be a good valuation, I think, for it maybe. And, you know, set an alert, and you never know in these stock market crashes, you know, you never know what you might get in the stock market. So, you know, that's what I would say is get your priority list ready, and then get, you know, a couple of stocks on there that you really love, good valuations, and then also get the stocks that, okay, they're not there at the moment, but if this fear really takes hold, you know, there's a chance the stock market could send those prices a little bit lower. And then you're in a position to capitalize from it, because I tell you something, guys, you know, obviously we're nowhere near it at the moment. We're only like, you know, a little bit of a dip really, but you know, add another 5-10% on the S&P 500. I'll tell you something, guys, you know, the panic then will be serious, and then you see the panic around some of these stocks. You know, a 5-10% extra dip from here on the S&P 500, you know, these sort of stocks will be dropping more than that, and you will start seeing some interesting opportunities there. And that's really it. So yeah, I just wanted to make a video for you guys today, because obviously it's been a couple of days of fear, and you know, all those kind of key points are really key for getting through a bad stock market. You know, like I said, we might not get there just yet. You know, the stock market might bounce back and rip higher from here. But, you know, if there is a crash coming in 2025 now, or 2 months time, 4 months time, 8 months time, like we said, we don't know when one's going to happen. But when it does happen, you know, this is the kind of framework I'd be working around, and hopefully that kind of helps you guys as well, because you know, it is a bit chaotic when this thing happens. You know, these dips do happen, and to prepare for it. So hope there's a little bit of useful information for you guys anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. You guys on the Patreon, I know I was going to do the earnings video on dLocal, Topgolf and Aviva for you guys. I've just got the Top Golf conference call to go through, and then I'll get that video for you guys up on the Patreon. And I don't know if it'll be tonight, because by the time I get this video uploaded, it might be quite late. Or if I've got time, I'll get it done for you guys. If I don't get it up for you guys tonight, I will get it up for you tomorrow morning for you guys. So yeah, keep your eyes up for you guys on the Patreon. If you do want to join, links in the description, guys. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you in a bit.